Coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Monday morning. Here we are again, another Giants loss that will evaporate into the air like every one of these seasons that we have watched in the last number of seasons where the coaches have been changing and the quarterbacks have been changing and the general managers have been changing, and it's over and over and over again. And I don't even think there's really much specifically in this game where you sit here and break down, well, this happened or that happened or this guy or that guy. I mean, it's an overall philosophy thing with this team. And you've got now, and they played better in this game than they played against the Eagles, but this is exactly what we talked about on Friday. And this is why John Mara really has to love Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, and I still believe, even after this season and the way it's going, they should stick with those guys in this next draft. This is why John Mara is going to be pissed off. Just put yourself in his shoes for a second. The last home game they have, Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles steamroll his team. The guy that he didn't want to let go, certainly didn't want to go to the Eagles. He's running all over the place. He was close to his career high, and they pull him out of the game because it was a blowout. Next time he's at home, you get Jayden Daniels, this young quarterback who has pumped life into a franchise who has been dead forever. They got a new owner. They're 7-2. They're going to go to the playoffs. And then what is your team? What is your team? They're an afterthought in the NFL. They're an afterthought in New York sports, and they're going nowhere. So they have to get that guy somehow, some way. That's the only way it's going to change. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Jay. I'm right there with you. Everything you just said is totally accurate, and I think Giant fans who went to the game yesterday saw exactly what a young, exciting quarterback can do for his team. And they didn't lose because of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, played hard, lowered his shoulder, scored a touchdown, threw a beautiful touchdown pass, late in the game to get it close. I mean, at the end of the day, for me, they are stuck in neutral. They are just, it's like the hamster wheel of turds. And I'm not talking about the people individually. I'm just talking about where they are. They're where the Knicks have been for the last 25 years until Jalen Brunson arrived. And then all of a sudden, players wanted to come and play for the Knicks. And he brought a couple of his buddies over. And now all of a sudden, they are a legitimate team. And when you're a Knicks fan, you believe that when you go to the game, your team is going to win. I mean, the Giant fan goes to these games, they just want to see a touchdown, scored by their own team. It's amazing. Now, yesterday, it was the defense, and defense fell apart. Jayden Daniels, he had 8 rushes. Basically, he took off 8 different times, and he only completed 15 passes. Mm-hmm. But there's a belief in Washington that they have the guy, that the guy ignites the entire franchise. And there's probably about 10 teams that could probably say that right now. The Giants haven't been one of those. And, again, I don't want to beat this. Today's not a beat down on Daniel Jones thing. Right. It's just the reality of the league and what the Giants look like. They are in the worst possible spot that you can be when you are a professional football franchise. And that is, or any professional sports franchise, in my eyes, and that is irrelevant. Yeah. They are completely irrelevant. Like, the fan base is angry again, which seems like it's every 3 years. It's comes a lot quicker than locusts do. Mm-hmm. And they're going to end up having to make a decision here whether or not they keep Schoen and Daboll and whether or not the team is stable enough. You think about, Evan Neal and you think Deonte Banks, and you're saying those are 2 major busts that Joe Schoen has basically gone through right now with high picks, and those players are not panning out or haven't panned out.
Right. I mean, you could throw Kayvon Thibodeau in there as well. I mean, it's not like either one of those guys in that draft have been a huge impact. I mean, Thibodeau's done more than Evan Neal for sure, but he's hurt again. He's just not someone that is making that impact off the edge. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bust there. There's no two ways about it. And the other thing I'll add to the irrelevance factor about the worst spot that a team can be in is you're not good enough to be interesting or compete, but you're not bad enough to bottom out and get the best player available. Like, they were right there. Like, look at the top 3 quarterbacks, and who knows if they're going to pan out over the course of their career, but we're only going off of what we've seen so far. Now, Caleb Williams had a miserable day yesterday, but we've seen things from him. We've seen some positive things from him, and I think he'll be good down the road. You get Drake May pulling off this miracle at the end of the game yesterday. You got Jayden Daniels doing what he's doing. You got Caleb Williams showing flashes. And where were the Giants?
Right outside of those 3
Right
picks,
outside of that. So, I mean, part of it is that, too, and whether you want to call that luck or whatever it is. And it's not like the Giants didn't know that. It's not like they didn't try. But those 3 teams ahead of them in this past draft all needed quarterbacks. Every single one of them. And they had an opportunity to either go with Michael Penix or J.J. McCarthy. They decided not to, and I can't necessarily blame them for that.
I told you I would have went with Penix.
Yeah.
But, now he's buried down there in Atlanta. But the reason I would have went with Penix is that he was a highly accurate quarterback. Now, he may not fit Brian Daboll's system, but I just thought he was an incredibly accurate quarterback at Washington. And I think he is going to ascend to being a really good pro quarterback because of that accuracy. So it's the one thing that you can't teach. That's a very natural thing, and he seemed like he was a cool customer. And plus, everything that he had been through in his career, I figured he obviously loves the game of football. He wants to play it. He wants to be around it. And now he's buried down there in Atlanta because Kirk Cousins is playing so well. But I think Atlanta did a smart thing. They did exactly what Green Bay did to Brett Favre by drafting Aaron Rodgers and what they did to Aaron Rodgers by drafting Jordan Love. That's exactly what Atlanta did. But the Giants, I don't know what to tell you.
I know.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating for their fans. Actually, I was talking to one of their fans yesterday, and I was like, look, I'm not coming in here and killing the Giants tomorrow. You know why? Because almost every prognosticator, preseason, looking into the future, what do you think? Almost everybody said the Giants were going to be last in the NFC East, and that the Giants' win total was they weren't going to win more than 6 games.
Yeah, and the other maybe opinion on that was, well, if Jayden Daniels isn't any good, like maybe the Commanders will be worse. But you're right. Most people pick the Giants to be last in the division.
So we're sitting right here with essentially what everybody predicted.
Yeah, right. And that's what. And you just wish there were some more signs. Like you wish that the defense had played better yesterday. There was more foundational things. Like you'd hope that Malik Nabers, after coming back from a concussion, would be better than he has been. He's not been the same explosive player. So there's certain things that you wish you could build on. But, at the same time,
I know the game plan was to run the ball more against a team that doesn't really stop the run.
And they did a great job in the first half, but the problem is that this team, they just don't score enough.
Right, exactly. But here's the real one of the real issues going on right now with the Giants. Everybody goes running to Malik Nabers.
Oh, yeah. Now
the kid is a rookie.
Yeah.
He should just keep his mouth shut and just go out and play football. But he all of a sudden becomes like this football savant and has all the answers. And I'll tell you, that's a very disconcerting thing for the coach.
Yeah, well, remember in Hard Knocks when Brian Daboll was asking him specifically, is like, what type of guy are you going to be when things aren't going your way? We might be losing some games. You're not getting the ball. And he answered like, well, it's going to be hard for me. And Brian Daboll was like, listen, I get pissed off too. Like I react a certain way, but we got to make sure that we harness that in the right way. Like it's fine to be upset, but we can't make it bigger than it is. Well, unfortunately, it's one thing to have the right answer in a pre-draft interview. It's another thing to actually live it and do the right thing.
And be frustrated and then come up with some sort of answer as if you are the spokesperson for the New York Giants and its coaching staff.
Right. It's tough, man. And you know what the reporters are going to do is because the Giants are completely uninteresting. You're not going to get anything out of Brian Daboll. He doesn't really answer any questions. He does a nice job of not making something out of nothing like Rob Saleh would. Daniel Jones isn't going to say anything. Like maybe Dexter Lawrence says something here or there. But basically, the reporters are going to go to Malik Nabers. All right, you're new here. You're special talent. You're one of these wide receivers. How about you give us something interesting? Because there's nothing interesting else on this team. They're completely irrelevant. So let's get that juicy quote out of you. And that's what's going to happen.
And he takes the bait.
Right. It's just
he's got to realize that he's got to watch what he says because. And maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe there are people out there that say, say what you got to say because it's, you're the one in the locker room. You're the one that is showing the fire. You're the one that looks to be like, a superstar in the making. I mean, so I'm sure there are some out there that believe whatever he's talking about is right, but I just know from internally that here's a guy that's been here for basically 6 months, and he's already missed a number of games because of the concussion, and now all of a sudden he has all the answers. And that just creates another set of issues for everybody in the building. You got another diva wide receiver who, wants to speak up for the Giants because he believes he's a leader when, in fact, he just got here.
Well, but at the same time, and I'm just going to try to put myself in his shoes for a second. So he's coming from a winning program. He's a top draft choice. His entire life, he has been a star. He comes in here. It's just a mess. The team stinks.
How many games has he missed?
He's missed what? He missed 3. He missed 3.
I believe it was 3 games. I mean, just keep your head down, keep your mouth shut.
I know, and I'm just for the sake of argument's sake here. Let me just play devil's advocate for a second because I know that what he's supposed to do. I'm just trying to say, like when he comes in, he's a young player. He doesn't understand any of that. So here he is, like hell, like I'm supposed to be the man here because they drafted me to turn this thing around. And I got a quarterback who's a complete flatliner. We stink offensively. We can't win at home. Like, I'm supposed to step up and do something about this because that's why they drafted me. That's what he's thinking. So he's got to – it's not the way to go about his business, and someone's got to get to him, and the maturity will happen for him. And I don't think he's a bad guy whatsoever, but – like, I mean, it's tough when you're, 22 years old, when you're drafted to come in and, essentially save a franchise or give it some juice. It's not working out the way you want to. You got another dud game. You lose another division game and there's microphones in your face. For him to give you the perfect answer at this stage of his career is sometimes asking a lot. But.
And plus, you also have his former quarterback in college playing on the other team.
Exactly.
Who basically now has beaten the Giants twice this season, and things are changing within the division. I mean, things are really changing within the division. The Washington Commanders now have their future, and their future is an exciting young man who has given everybody the belief that they can win any game that they play because he is incredibly a special athlete.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly what every franchise is looking for.
And how about his answer? How about his answers after the game?
Well, he's always been perfect with everything he's done so far. I mean, he's actually – I know he had the little bit of a rib injury. He did not miss a full game. He did come out of that game and not come back that 1 week. But he also protects himself. He doesn't throw a lot of bad throws. He doesn't put himself in a position to get completely crushed. Like, if you watch him, and this was one of the things that you had talked about early on, like how skinny he was when you saw him show up at the NFL today. And I'm thinking, man, like – maybe he's RG3 all over again because he had that great rookie season, won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and then could never stay healthy. But if you watch these Jayden Daniels games, like he rarely makes that horrible throw. Like he's not making those rookie mistake bad throws, and then he finds his way out of everything. Like he's so slippery, he very rarely puts himself in a position to get killed by a defender. And then on top of it, the way he speaks after every game and how like into winning he is, and that's what he cares about, and it's not about him and all these things. I mean, he's
now
what every general manager wants. I mean, Joe Shea and Brian Daboll looking at that guy like, son of a bitch.
Now we know why they brought up his name in off-season Hard Knocks.
Exactly.
Where we could see it up close and personal, and they've seen it, and Brian Daboll knew. I mean, he knew that kid was going to be special.
I mean, he couldn't get the word yes out of his mouth quick enough when they said, would you trade up for Jayden Daniels? Yes!
The only thing I will say is it's 9 games into his career, and, they have 8 more games to play this year. And he still is very slight physically.
Yeah.
Tall, yes, very quick, and he's got a lightning quick release. And all of those things are, 5-star aspects to who he is. And it sounds like when you listen to him talk, you sound like, or he sounds like he understands what's going on. But it's easier to talk that way when you're winning and you have success. Malik Nabers, unfortunately, is talking under the umbrella of losing in a franchise that is basically stuck in irrelevance.
Yep. And really the only way out of it is getting a guy like Jayden Daniels. I mean, that's really it. Like what else could they do? There's not going to be someone available to trade for. I don't think. I mean, we could go through it and try to find it. Is there someone who's going to be very rarely do these guys come up in free agency that are quarterbacks. I mean,
it would have to be somebody like is Sam Darnold come here next year if they don't draft somebody? Is there somebody like a Bryce Young available? Is Anthony Richardson available?
Right, but those are yes. But those are the type of guys. Like that's it.
I know.
Like it's not going to be your guy that you draft that you haven't seen played yet that steps onto the field and all of a sudden the jerseys are flying off the shelves. And, the Giants may be in a position to get one of these guys, but it's not a guarantee either.
But I would also be careful about doing that because as the Jets are finding out, getting in an older quarterback who has had a Hall of Fame career somewhere else, it's just not easy to bring that person into the fold and expect to have immediate success unless, of course, his name is Tom Brady.
Well, of
or
course.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I mean, but also really, that's probably the rare occurrence. To have someone like that available again, like the Brady, Manning, Rodgers thing, but also drafting a guy at the top of the draft could be. I mean, we've seen it here time and time again. From Sam Darnold to Zach Wilson to Daniel Jones to Geno Smith to all these guys who have come through here where it didn't work out. So it's just it's tough, man. It really is difficult, and the Giants fans can go back and watch the highlights of 2007 and 2011 and feel great about themselves and say, hey, we watched these two great runs. But, I mean, it's a long way up, man.
Two teams in the NFL have not won a home game this year. The Giants obviously are one of them at 0-5. The other one is the Dallas Cowboys, who now their season's getting ready, if it hasn't already now, spiraled out of control.
Yep.
Where they've lost 3 in a row, and they're 0-3 at home in Dallas.
Another unraveling spot right there in Dallas. All right.